Hello everybody and welcome to Complete TV, better known as CTV, and this is Future Stars. Today I'm going to be talking to you about Harvey Elliott. Now he is very much in the limelight at the moment. Everyone's seen his move from Fulham to Liverpool, and more recently his loan deal to Blackburn Rovers, which, if anyone's seen recently, he has done exceptionally well. Now, the first time I ever met Harvey was a very long time ago, when he was a young lad, 5-6 years old. I was working at Woking Hockey Club with an academy development centre over there, where I saw this very young, very enthusiastic boy who, and I'm not even saying this for this video right now, always had a ball by his feet. I got on very, very well with him, got on very, very well with his dad, and I saw him through a journey and a transition from this very, very young age. And I suppose a little bit of what I could say my sort of claim to fame is, I took him down at the time when I was an academy scout at Fulham with the pre-academy. So he was a very, very young age, 5-6 years old, and we took him down to one of their talent ID centres. And he actually stayed there for quite a few years, because as you know, the academy set up, you don't actually get signed into the club until you're an under 9. So where he was 5-6 years old, he was with us in our talent ID centre through that period, and he was still training with us at the time at Woking Hockey Club. So a few things I always look back on and I can remember with Harvey is, you know, we used to train on this very, very old sand-based hockey pitch over there. And like I said before, he always seemed to have a ball, like walking over across this big field from the car park to where the hockey club was. He just, you know, he was dribbling with the ball. And he, every time that he was in a session, bear in mind, if you know the sand-based Astros that you probably would have trained on yourself, they can be a bit slippery, the ball moves very quickly. And to be fair to him, he was always quite a small lad within the training sessions that we had. But every time, and something I always remember, if it was a half term or a holiday or one of the sessions, he was more than happy to always play with the bigger boys, train with the bigger boys. And just his balance, his skill level at that age was just brilliant. You know, he would always try to drop a shoulder, do a scissor, try and beat a player. He might not necessarily get past them with pace at the time, but he was always willing to sort of take those risks and get forward and attack players. And throughout the time that we saw him at that younger age through to when we had him in the talent ID centres at Fulham, he was always willing to take those risks. Now, it's a bit of a shock to say really, but throughout his time in the talent ID centres, you know, there was a lot of other great boys in the programme at that time down at Fulham. We used to train at an LSE on a Tuesday night, Saturday morning, and he was involved in some of the games against some other local teams and some of the other academies. But he was really just waiting for that opportunity in that moment to get himself as an under 9 into the Fulham academy setup. But you know, at the time, the scouts and the coaches will be looking at certain factors. You know, physically, how are they doing? Technically, how are they doing? And you know, technical side of his game. Even back then, you know, I speak to many people when I explain this story to them about, you know, he was very, very technical, taking the ball on the half turn at such a young age, taking players on, his passing. You know, but physically, some of the coaches looked at him and said, he's not quite strong enough. Which for me, you know, you look at the modern day player now, and you know, you even look at the height that he is now. I think he's 5'7", you know, and you sort of know in that long-term journey, it's not always going to be about how big and how strong you are, because, you know, still to this day, he's very, very quick now, and he's very, very strong on the ball now. But on those sort of development stages of growing up, he might not have been the quickest or the strongest, but he did have that technical side, and it just shows from such a young age how important it is to work on your ball manipulation and your ball touches and your ball masteries from a young age. Very good on both sides of the feet. So it come to that stage, he got to where it was judgment time for him to go into the academy set up at under 9, and he was turned away. And for me, it was gutting. For him, it was gutting. For his dad, it was gutting. But it just sort of shows that it wasn't the end of the road for him. You could see he was still focused, still what he wanted to achieve. He didn't stop what he was doing, and he ended up going to sign for QPR. And the funny thing is, he ended up returning back to Fulham at sort of just before his teenage years, and where he stayed throughout the whole period of time. I do like to think that I was there at one point to try and sort of get him into that academy setup, but it didn't work out at the time for many reasons. But obviously his mentality and his hunger and his ambition still remained the same. And a lot of compliments go out to his dad, to Scott, because he wasn't a pushy father with it. He understood that Harvey had that passion for the game, and Scott just put him on a path, a direction, and he was always there to support him. And I remember sort of when he returned back to Fulham, sort of 15-16s, and I was up at LSE when he was playing games, and I spoke to Scott, and you could just see the transformation that he made, and the journey that he'd been on. He probably, maybe even at a younger sort of age, maybe needed that little bit of a knock back to then jump back on and focus on certain areas and push. And obviously Fulham might have realised what they missed out on at the under 9 age, and you can see now he's absolutely flying. So I actually got to go up to an under 23s game. I think they were playing against Reading, so I wanted to see how Harvey was getting on at Fulham with the under 23s. He was still 15 years old, best player on the pitch. I think he scored in that game, got an assist in that game, and I got to speak to Scott then as well. And little did I know that, I think it was 6 months later, he's gone to my team, Liverpool, on a dream move. He was a Liverpool fan himself, and it's going to be a very bright future for him. I still speak to his dad now and again, and I still sort of get some comments from Harvey as well. So he's absolutely flying at the moment on loan at Blackburn. I'm hoping that he gets to return back to Liverpool and really fulfil his potential there. But it just sort of shows that you can't judge anyone by their height, their strength, anything from such a young age, because as it's shown with Harvey, he's stuck with it, and he's worked extremely, extremely hard to get himself to the point where he is now, and the future is looking extremely bright for him. And I was looking at some of the clips from Blackburn about the goals that he's scored and the way that he's playing with his assists. Like, he's just doing a great job. So yeah, I mean, it's a great example of sort of what's needed in that journey, in that development stage of everyone's footballing career. And with the England under 15s he's played, under 16s, under 17s, I think we've really got to keep a close eye out on this young lad of what he can bring to us as a nation, Liverpool as a club, and sort of see how much or how big he can get, to be honest with you. There's I'll probably say there's a little bit of weight on his shoulders. I read a lot of articles recently about him potentially looking to come in and not replace someone like Salah, but he's sort of got that sort of style of play that Salah has, but he's young, and it's going to be a great journey for him. Like everything about it sort of makes me proud that at some point in my coaching journey that I've got to meet him and got to see him grow into this player that he is today. But yeah, cracking stuff, Harvey. Local lad for us. He's a Chertsey boy from England, so not too far from where we are. And fingers crossed one day he can come down and meet some of our players and give them some advice of what it's needed to to fulfil your dreams within this great sport of football.